What is good, YouTube fam? Today we're talking about the White House is trying to combat junk fees on travel, finance, and entertainment, and how this fight might put more money back in the pockets of consumers like you and me. If you're interested in that video, stay tuned. Fam, if you have not done so already, please show the like button some love and give it a click. If you don't mind seeing this face every now and then, give a subscribe button some love too. Both it and I will appreciate it. And for the love of God, do not hit it. Just give it a click. All right, back to the video. So back on February 1st, the White House released an article about trying to add more competition in many sectors and at the same time helping out consumers. And by doing this, they're going to try to go after many industries, including the airlines, hotels, and ticketing venues. So to do this, the White House has proposed the Junk-Free Act, which is aimed at 4 different areas. These 4 areas are excessive fees on ticketing. You can think of Ticketmaster and the whole Taylor Swift concert fiasco. Airline fees when it comes to family members trying to sit with their kids, early termination fees on things like television, internet, and phone services. They're also trying to deal with credit card late fees. And finally, they're trying to deal with surprise hotel and resort fees. Now, I want to start off by talking about excessive fees online. Now, I think this is in no doubt a reaction to what happened with the Taylor Swift fiasco and when Ticketmaster, basically couldn't get people their tickets. Everybody was crying. You had, it was pandemonium. It was crazy. So I think this is a response to something like that. And you got to think about it. Ticketmaster and Live Nation, which is the company that owns Ticketmaster, has a good market share, controlling a good portion of the industry. So they can kind of do whatever they want in that industry. And I can kind of get it, like the tickets are put out there. You go for the tickets. Some people get them, some people don't. That's kind of life. I understand where that's coming from. But at the same time, you got to look out for the consumer. And that's kind of what the White House is doing here. I can actually think back to a time where me and my fiance Millie were trying to look for Bad Bunny tickets, and she had so many different tabs open to try to find tickets wherever she can get them. She was looking for California, looking in Florida. We actually ended up finally getting some tickets in Montreal, Quebec, and we ended up going, but it was hard to get those tickets. So who knows? Maybe if it was different venues, there might have been more smoother and something of that sort. So to wrap up, basically the White House is trying to find a way that they can remove some of these fees, because basically when you think about it, all of these fees that are added on top of what the ticket already is basically going to cost as much as a ticket. I remember we were trying to see a Broadway play actually, and the play itself cost, I think it was like $80. When we add on all the extra fees on top of it, it went like $150. So that's pretty absorbent. So I think that's what they're trying to get into. They're trying to stop all these absorbent fees that add on top of the tickets you're already paying for. I think in the article they're talking about how a family of 4 had to pay like $100 a person or something like that, basically to see a play or to see some sporting venue. So it's pretty crazy when you think about it. I think it's definitely worth them looking into and trying to curtail that junk fee a little bit. Next up, I want to talk about airline fees and families. Now this one is actually pretty new to me because I didn't know what was happening. So basically what's happening here is that airlines are charging families more for them to sit with their young children. So you can kind of think about when you're on the airplane and you have that mom come to you like, hey, my daughter's sitting there. You mind if I switch places with you? Well, this is pretty much why. The family is trying to find a way to get a flight, but the only way they can choose their seat is if they pay a higher fare. So what the White House is proposing is basically to eliminate this and allow families to sit together and without the extra burden on them. I think for the most part, this is pretty good. When you start thinking about it, the airlines should kind of be able to charge whatever they want to charge. It's their private company. But at the same time, these are young kids, trying to stay with their parents on the flight. So you can kind of feel for the parents trying to, take, 1, 2, or 3 kids with them and have to pay an extra fare just to be able to select their seat. So I'm not saying do this for everybody, but, if it's a parent flying with a minor, I really don't see the issue of allowing them to, sit together or at least, pick the seat where they want to sit at. I think it's very little hardship on the airlines to make this to work. So I think it's pretty good on the White House's part to propose something like this. So next up, I'm not going to spend much time on this. This is basically talking about the television, phone, and internet services not being charging fees for basically you're leaving early or you cancel the service early. They're going to charge you a fee for early termination. What the White House is proposing is basically doing away with this. So that means you would not charge this fee. I personally don't really worry too much about this because like when I'm in a place, I haven't really changed or canceled my stuff early. But I can definitely see if somebody finds a better deal, they might want to go with that better deal instead of, going with what they had with this company. So being able to like freely move and add that more competition in is pretty good for the consumer. So next up, I want to talk about part of the pros about late payments on credit cards. So I think many people in this community won't really worry about this or have much trouble with this one, but it is affecting a lot of people out in America. So I think it's pretty good they're going to go after this. So basically what's happening is they are trying to reduce the amount of late fees that credit card companies can charge people from, I think it was about $30 on average to $8. And this is basically going to save the consumer about $9 billion as a whole, which, as a side note, I hate when they say it like this. We're going to save consumers $9 billion. I do not see that $9 billion. So it's actually pretty crazy to me. Tell me, per person, how much money I'm actually saving. I need an actual number versus can save consumers $9 billion, which is kind of ludicrous when you ask me. But yeah, that's what they're trying to do. They're basically trying to eliminate the ability for these credit card companies to charge, absorbent amounts of fees for late fees. And when you really think about it, like, yeah, okay, the person used the card, they weren't able to pay, so therefore they should be charged a late fee. Yeah, sure. Okay, I don't think many people are going to argue that. But at the same time, life happens. And sometimes, you don't have it to get through. So you put it on a credit card. And if you don't have it to put it on a credit card and you can't pay that credit card minimum balance off, I mean, charging a person an extra $40 is not going to miraculously make them be able to pay it now. So I think it's pretty good on the government's part to say, hey, you can still charge a late fee, but the late fee should not be as exorbitant. I think they put something like more than 25%. But yeah, I definitely think it's a good, good part for the government to look out for the little person and do their job pretty much, help the little guy out. But yeah, that's another proposal from the White House. And now finally, I want to take a look at something I think everybody in this community would get behind, and that is resort and destination fees being basically wiped out or added into the price of the room. I cannot tell you how many times I've been booking on a hotel, I've been booking at an Airbnb, and I get all the way to the end, and next thing I know, I see resort fee, destination fee, this fee. And when you think about places like Airbnb, you see, this is how much it costs, and then here's a cleaning fee. It drives me wild every time I think about that. So it is nice to see the White House is at least saying, hey, we have to do something about junk fees like this. Because I think hotel fees and Airbnb fees are, ridiculous if you ask me. So basically what they're proposing is instead of, having the resort fee tacked on at the end when you basically make your purchase, they're saying, okay, if this is a mandatory fee that people have to pay, then therefore you have to add this onto the room rate. So whatever the room rate is, this is added there, and now it is all bundled together. Right now it is added on afterwards. You can kind of think of it as drip pricing. And drip pricing is basically the phenomenon that the price is you add on more things as you go on. You drip, kind of like think about trickle down economics. Well, that doesn't actually work, but think about it in that sense. Basically, the idea is you have one price, and then over time, they're adding within the purchase, they're adding more things on. So you have the price, then you have this fee, you have that fee. And next thing you know, you're paying a lot more money than what you originally intended to pay. And there's actually a study on this, basically looking at how consumers are able to make purchasing decisions when they're trying to choose or compare between hotels. And what they found was that when you have things like drip pricing, it actually makes a cognitive deficit for the consumer. It makes it more hard to compare prices between different hotels, different places you're trying to stay. So I think actually by having the room rate or by having everything bundled together into one rate will definitely go a long way to help consumer and help people basically choose the best purchase for them when they're trying to stay somewhere. I don't know how many times I've looked at places. I'm like, okay, this is great. This is whatever, $200, great. And next thing I know, I see all these fees on top of it, and now it's $350. It's insane. So I'm glad to see that the White House is proposing to do something about that. So I want to also say that there's a little cynical part of me about this, about why they're trying to propose this. So what I learned from actually researching this is that when a hotel, or I guess I don't know about Airbnb, but when a hotel charges these resort or destination fees, they're actually by charging these fees, they're able to not have to pay commission to the online travel agency. So you can think about your Expedias, your Travelocities, and stuff like that. And on top of that, they don't have to pay the sales tax. So the resort fee is actually outside of the sales tax. So they're actually able to make more money on these fees that they don't have to pay to the government. So that could be what the government's doing. Like, hey, we want our money back. We want our money too. So, you can't do this anymore. Bundle it all together. And so that's the cynical part of me. But at the end of the day, I think, it's going to help the consumer out. Also, it's going to help with, the cognitive load and stuff like that. So it's great to see that. And it's actually funny because it's not only in the hotel industry that this is happening. You could think of airlines with check bag fees and stuff like that. I learned that airlines actually make more revenue off check bag fees than they do off the actual plane ticket itself, which is wild when I think about it. But yeah, that is a great thing that they're doing. And a little cynical part of me, they're doing it maybe to get more revenue, but it's also at the end of the day, it is going a long way to help the consumer. Well, yeah, guys, that is the plan. That is the document coming from the White House. And all in all, I am for it. I think anything that can be done to help the consumer that does not break the overall economy is great. I understand business has got to make money, but at the same time, the consumer should be, have somebody fighting for them too. With that being said, I hope you like this video. I'm trying a couple of different things out. I'm trying to have some news content on top of the travel and credit card stuff that I'm going to be putting out. So I hope you guys like this type of format. So like I said before, guys, if you like this video, show the like button some love. Don't hit it, just click it. If you think this information is useful, please get out to more people. Don't mind sharing it. And if you don't mind seeing this face every now and then, please show the subscribe button some love too. And of course, guys, until next time, peace.